Hello, Mark Lewis Wagner and Drawing on Earth. I thought I would share how a lot of this started, drawing on Earth and chalk drawing. A couple things lined up. Back in 1994, I was invited by a friend of mine, Phil Roberts, who I went to art school with, fantastic artist. And there's a big chalk drawing festival that's happening down in Santa Barbara every month, and every year. And it's the oldest festival in the country. Um, all of this chalk drawing stuff started off in Italy in the 1500s. That's a whole nother story. Um, Phil was the featured artist, and he invited me to help him out. And we had 6 days to work on a piece, and it was the back wall of the Sistine Chapel of Michelangelo, and Phil Roberts hand drew it without a grid. He's a freaking awesome dude. And in the beginning I said, dude, I've never done this before. I'm gonna hold you back or drag you down. He goes, I'll have you up running in a day. And it was true. So he was my mentor, and he taught me how to do the under painting, under drawing. And he would come around and finish it off. And then by the end of the time, then I was finishing off. There was 53 figures in this piece. And out of that, I saw that it was the rock and roll of the art world. There was thousands and thousands of people around, and we were live. We were doing performance art, and that was stunning. And after that, the San Rafael in California started their chalk drawing festival, and that's home. That's here nearby. So I've drawn there a dozen of more times over the years, for sure. And that used to be the largest one in the world. That was great. And so another thing was my kids were in elementary school, and my oldest was in second or third grade, and they didn't have an art program in the school. Not in the district where I'm at. There's no art teachers in the elementary schools, which, in my opinion, is very wrong. And the way that I like to say it is that what we want to be doing is nurturing the kids' creativity, anchoring it in their bodies so that they can grow up and live a creative life in all aspects of their lives. That's what the future needs. So I decided to be one of the parent docent volunteers to do the art program, because I looked around and I saw paid art teachers. I saw paid music teachers, and I saw paid PE teachers. So as I was volunteering, there was a teacher and a mom who sat in on one of my classes that instead of following the protocol of the art docent program, I just started doing my own classes because I felt that they were more, I'm an artist, I'm an art teacher. So they asked me to propose to the school to be the art teacher there for a year. And so I did that. It was privately funded. And so that got me into this whole school. It was a small school, 270 kids. And I started doing once a year chalk drawings on the playgrounds. And the first one I did was a big long serpent dragon, and we had an open house in the evening. And I noticed that the kids then ran it like, the yellow brick road. There was something that was extraordinary or unusual. That was interesting. And it was the third year that I did it where I did a lizard so that you could look down on it, and I outlined it, and I had all the kids fill inside of it. And that did something to me. I was like, that's really interesting, because this level of collaboration I'm really interested in. And everybody's drawing. The teachers were drawing. The teachers were thanking me because they had some time just to be. And there was, in 2003, 2004, Google Earth launched their program, and I was basically up in outer space, and I looked down zoomed down to the kids' playground, and I was surprised to see a chalk drawing that we had done. I could still see the outlines of it. And that did something to me. That was like, oh, elementary school kids' art seen from outer space. And at the same time, um, I'm in a men's group, and there was a question one evening which was, what would you do with the support of, at that time it was 40 some men, with their time, tools, and energy? Do you have a dream? And the men's group is based on community service. And I just thought that was an interesting question. Like, like I'd never been asked that question. So I sat with it for 2 weeks. And that year up in San Rafael, we had done the world's largest copy of an old master, and we did the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Half size, so it was 25 by 75 feet, and there was, a dozen and a half of us working on that piece. And for 6 days, that was a big piece. And those things kind of all came together, and literally I was sitting in the hot tub at my gym, and I had a vision of being up in outer space and looking down and seeing the world's largest chalk drawing by elementary school kids. And that vision haunted me for 3 years, and I knew that if I didn't do something about it, I would psychologically get in trouble, like, not fulfill something that I knew was true. And then it took 2 years to actually make it happen. And in the very beginning, I was kind of asking people if I could do it. And there was a point where I realized that I greenlit the project myself and that I didn't need anybody's permission. And from then on, I was inviting people to participate. Basically, this is what I'm doing, and would you like to be involved? And that's when we set our Guinness World Record for the world's largest chalk drawing. And that was in 2008. And we covered 90,000 square feet, which is almost 2 football fields, 300 by 300 feet, with chalk. We had 6,000 people work on it, and most of them were elementary school kids from Alameda, California. And we got a satellite to photograph our artwork from 423 miles up in space. So that's the beginning of Drawing on Earth. That was the first project that we took on. And at that time, the project was called the Kids Chalk Art Project. And then it moved into re-enchanting the world through art. And then when we got our official 501c3 nonprofit, it moved into Drawing on